I feel like it's my time to share my healing journey after the loss of my 2-year-old daughter, Cynthia, who passed away in 2020, May 31st. And I want to be that person that I needed in that direct period after her passing, when my world was so shattered and I was walking around so devastated, so broken, so basically thinking that I was never going to experience joy in my life ever again. Feeling the guilt, the sadness, the grief, and I just needed somebody or something to just hold on, to know that I would be able to find purpose again and meaning in life, and that the only reason for me to keep going was not only to raise my other 2 children. So this is gonna be a couple videos because for now it's already been a 4-year-old journey where I have turned out to be the most healed, the most loving, the most authentic and free version of myself that I have ever been, even from before the loss of Cynthia. And I made the choice to honor my daughter through this journey, and not by pushing away my sad feelings, but by actually sitting with them and allowing them. So this is the first video of the series, and this is also going to be the most difficult one for me because this is where I'm going to explain what happened to my Cynthia. So in the weekend of the 31st of May, I was still living in Aruba. I come originally from the Netherlands, so that's where my family lives, and I moved to Aruba in 2011. So my whole support system was in the Netherlands. I have 3 children at the moment. Orlando is 6. I have Cynthia, who is 2 years and 3 months, and I have Juliet, who is only 6 months old. And I am at a moment where I am exhausted. I haven't taken good care of myself in a long time, and that had to do with my own coping strategies, with my own surviving strategies. And it was the time right after the shelter in place in Aruba, where there were no tourists, like 0 tourists allowed to enter the island. And Aruba is an island where 80% of the income is based on tourism. I owned my own Montessori daycare, a beautiful high quality daycare, but I was losing all of my clients because they were losing their jobs and they were not able to pay me. Maybe from the 40 clients, only 2 clients were paying me, but still I had to pay my employees. And I was so stressed. Before the shelter in place, I had to homeschool Orlando, but also take care of my 2 little ones at the same time, and it was a very stressful period. My partner, the father of my 2 youngest children, he had his own business, and he was very proud of it and very invested in it also. He was working 7 days, almost 12 hours a day. And I was that partner, rooting for him, supporting him, and trying to cope with the whole situation, because it was very difficult for me, but trying to cope with it, just saying, look at me, how I'm doing all of this, running this business, taking care of my children, I can do it all. I am the example of a mom who chooses everything that is the best for their children, because my daycare was also one of the highest quality daycares on the whole island. And I was cloth diapering my baby. I was still breastfeeding Juliet and Cynthia at the same time. I breastfed Orlando before for 3 years. I had all the wooden and the natural materials inside, the toys. I was baby-led weaning, you name it, all of those crunchy mom things. I was doing it, but it was at the cost of myself, because I was taking so much care of other people, and I didn't realize that you can read everything in the books that you can see that is the best for your child, but if you as a mom do not take good care of yourself, you can do all of those things, but it is still not the best for your child. You first have to take care of yourself. But I was not at a point to do that. I was exhausted, and in that weekend I had something really important that I wanted to do for my daycare. We just opened 1 week ago after the shelter in place. There were so much new rules and everything, and my partner was gonna help me on Saturday, but he had a party in Saturday afternoon, and after he went to another birthday party right after, and there was a lot of alcohol being served over there. So when he came home really late in the night, he was so sick, and the next morning he was supposed to help me with what he was supposed to help me on Saturday, but he was throwing up. He was so sick, and I was really, really frustrated. I was so tired. I needed help with the children, and I didn't have much of a network or people to help me. And I had a new friend who lived one street away from us, who just had a new pool, and we were already supposed to go there in the afternoon, but I just messaged her and I said, hey, can we come earlier? So we went there. I went there with the 3 children around 11, because I figured I'm so exhausted. There we are together. We are moms. We are supporting each other. But what I never realized was that that was the most dangerous place that I could have gone, because all of us were exhausted. We all had multiple children. We all had hard jobs and having to do a lot of the things on our own as moms. And when I arrived, there was one mom already sitting outside on the porch, and she was facing the pool. And I have people pleasing tendencies that I have now healed, but back then I did not. And I wanted to sit facing the pool, but then we had to talk like this, and I was, then maybe it's better to sit on the other side. We went in the pool, all of the children, 3 moms. We had so much fun. Cynthia was sitting with the floaties and with another floaty, and she was having this mermaid Barbie that she was playing with, and Orlando was doing his own thing in the water, and I was holding Juliet, and everybody was jumping, and I was like, you guys should have to look a little bit more at Cynthia. Look how quiet she is playing. And then eventually we went out of the water to have lunch, and all the children were having bread with chocolate paste, and I realized that I was having a brain fog, and I was like, wake up, you know. And when I looked at Cynthia, she already almost had finished all of her bread, and all the children, they were going inside. And I said, Cynthia, why don't you go and play inside as well? But she didn't want to. She wanted to stay outside. The only child that wanted to stay outside. She was playing with a basketball, throwing it in a little basket. And I was also with Juliet, because she was still so small. She was sitting in a high chair. And then I took Juliet out and I started breastfeeding her. And then I heard like a super, super soft sound by the pool. And I stood up right away and I looked at the pool and I saw nothing. And then I looked and I didn't see Cynthia. And the other mom was like, did you hear something? And she was facing the pool. She could see everything. And I said, I thought so. I didn't hear anything, she said. And I said, could Cynthia be on the other side of the house? And she's like, no, because there's fences, so the house is closed, so she cannot be there. And I look at the pool one more time, and it was quiet. And I look at the kitchen door, and they had this door that is for flies that was open the whole time, because the owner of the house, the mom, she was making bread with eggs for all the other moms. And all of a sudden that fly door was closed. So I was like, okay, she didn't see anything. She said she didn't hear anything. I don't see anything at the pool, so Cynthia must be inside. And I went and sit down again. But the father of the house got a phone call, and when he gets a phone call, he likes to walk around. So he was walking around the yard and was walking past the pool. And that's where he found Cynthia. And he yelled, threw his phone down, took her out, and as soon as I saw her, I knew that she was gone. But my mind didn't want to believe it, so I said, put her down. And I started doing CPR. They called the ambulance. Somebody went and picked up the father of my daughters, and he came there before the ambulance, and we were doing CPR together. And the ambulance came, and I wasn't allowed to be in the ambulance with my daughter because I was screaming too loud, and I had to be in a different ambulance driving to the hospital. And I started singing children's song, all of the children's song that Cynthia knew, because I was calling to her soul to please return back to her body. And in the hospital, we were, me, Jorge, and everybody who was working there, they were doing CPR for like 20 more minutes, and I was singing and singing and singing. But it was too late. And then they handed us Cynthia, and we sat there, and eventually Jorge went to get different clothes for her, and I gave her a bath. And when he arrived back, we dressed her, we put a little braid in her hair, and then she had to go to the funeral home. And that was the most devastating day of my life. Yeah, my beautiful Cynthia. That was the beginning of the hardest journey that I had to make, because this pain is so unbearable. There were things in my life that had happened that were painful, and I felt that there were a lot of things in my life where I also wasn't aligned with love, but instead I was doing a lot of things from fear. I was judging a lot of people. I was like finger pointing, like, oh, this and that is happening in my life, but it's because that person or that person. But during this healing journey, I started looking very different at life. And I stepped into my power and I took responsibility. And finally now, I got that courage to face all of my fears, to face those scary feelings of grief and sadness and sit with them, which I will explain in another video, because that is so powerful and I want you to know how to do that. And it doesn't have to be with grief. Maybe you're suffering insecurities, feeling like you're never good enough. Maybe you have past traumas, whatever it is. When you learn to not try to put those feelings away, but learn to sit with it, it is so healing. And that is what I started doing as well. And eventually I took my healing journey so much deeper, and I was able to heal so much stress that was still in my body, so much negative thought patterns, ancestral traumas. I ended up becoming my authentic self, living a life aligned with love instead of fear. And that is the journey I want to share with you, so you get inspired. So no matter where you are, if you're feeling stuck, if you feel like you don't know what to do, follow along and you will know exactly what to do. Please be sure to send some comments so I know exactly who is watching, what you need help with. And let's go on this healing journey together.